Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Tech AI and Beyond. Thank you so much for joining us today. In our last deep dive, we looked at the physical side of sustainability, things like electric vehicles and clean transport. But today, we're shifting gears. We're going to explore a really provocative idea. What if our biggest environmental challenges aren't just engineering problems? What if at their core, they're actually information problems? We're about to dive into the digital toolkit that's giving us a completely new data-driven way to understand and manage our planet. This quote right here really gets to the heart of it. It completely reframes the whole conversation. It suggests that our biggest blind spot isn't a lack of better machines, but a fundamental lack of trusted data. For decades, we've been trying to manage this incredibly complex global system, almost like we're flying blind with patchy, outdated information. So the revolution we really need isn't just about better hardware. It's about how we gather, process, and ultimately trust information about our world. So here's how we're going to break it down today. First, we'll dig into that core information problem. Then, we'll explore what I like to call the digital trifecta that's helping us solve it. AI as the predictive brain, IoT as the planet senses, and blockchain as the unbreakable ledger of trust. And finally, we'll see how these three aren't just working in isolation, but are coming together to create something totally new. All right, let's start with this core problem. For most of human history, our understanding of the planet has been like trying to navigate a huge, bustling city using a paper map that's only updated once a year. Yeah, you might know the general layout of the streets, but you have absolutely no idea about the real-time traffic jams, the sudden roadblocks, or the accidents happening right now. To manage our world effectively, we have to upgrade from that static, old map to a live, data-driven GPS for the entire planet. And that brings us to the first piece of our toolkit, artificial intelligence. You can think of it as the analytical brain of this entire digital ecosystem. The Earth's climate is an unbelievably chaotic system with countless moving parts. What AI, and specifically machine learning, is so good at is finding the hidden patterns in all that chaos. It can turn these massive global datasets into intelligence that's actually useful on a local level. So the big question is, how exactly is AI supercharging climate science? Now, it's really important to get this straight. It's not about replacing human experts or throwing out the laws of physics, not at all. It's about augmenting our own abilities. It's a tool, a force multiplier that lets us see connections and make predictions that were honestly just impossible before. For decades, we've leaned on these massive physics-based models running on supercomputers. They're the bedrock of climate science, and they're brilliant. But they're also incredibly expensive to run, and they really struggle to nail down the complex impacts at a local level. This is where AI comes in, not as a replacement, but as a partner. It takes a data-driven approach, sifting through petabytes of historical data to find these subtle, nonlinear patterns that the pure physics models might miss. The end result? It helps refine our projections and just makes them a whole lot more accurate. And this right here is one of AI's superpowers. It's called downscaling. A global model might tell us a whole region is going to warm by 2 degrees. Okay, that's important to know, but for a city planner, it's not super actionable. AI can take that coarse big picture data, and by learning an area's unique features like its topography or how the land is used, it can translate it into incredibly high-resolution local forecasts. We can go from a general warning to literally pinpointing which specific neighborhoods are most vulnerable to deadly heat waves. That allows for targeted, life-saving interventions. The IBM Green Horizons project is a perfect real-world example of this in action. Predicting air pollution is insanely complex. It involves emissions, atmospheric chemistry, weather patterns, the whole shebang. So first, the system just vacuums up all this different data. Then, its machine learning engine, the AI brain, sifts through all of it to learn the complex relationships between all those variables. And the output? It's pure, actionable intelligence. Street-level air pollution forecasts up to 72 hours in advance. And this isn't just some interesting weather report. This is data that directly informs policy. It allows cities to issue public health warnings for vulnerable people and even put temporary traffic restrictions in place to stop a bad pollution event from getting worse. It's the full cycle, from messy data to life-saving action. Okay, so if AI is the brain, how does the brain know what's going on in the real world? Well, a brain is pretty useless without senses, and that brings us to the Internet of Things, or IoT. This is the planet's sensory network, its digital nervous system. It's the web of sensors connecting that digital brain to the physical world, giving us a real-time pulse on its health. And let's be clear, we are not talking about your smart fridge or your toaster. We're talking about blanketing our farms, our forests, and our oceans with countless small, low-power sensors. This tech allows us to stop reacting to problems after they happen and start managing our resources with precision. In effect, we're giving the planet a voice to tell us exactly what it needs, where it needs it, and when. And nowhere is this impact clearer than in what's called precision agriculture. By using IoT sensors to measure things like soil moisture and nutrient levels in real time, plot by plot, farmers can apply water and fertilizer with almost surgical precision. And just look at these numbers. The results are transformative. Resource use can be cut by up to 50%, often while increasing crop yields. It is a massive win for the farmer's bottom line and a massive win for the environment. Now, here's a really powerful example of IoT and AI working together. Picture this. Startups are putting high-res cameras on towers in remote forests. These IoT cameras are continuously scanning the horizon 24/7. And at the same time, a powerful computer vision model, an AI, is watching that feed. It's been trained to recognize the unique visual signature of a smoke plume, even one that's miles away. The second it spots a fire, it can triangulate the location and send an instant alert to firefighters. This cuts detection time from potentially hours down to just a few minutes. And in a wildfire, that's not just an advantage, that's everything. It's the difference between a small, containable fire and a full-blown catastrophe. And this sensory network isn't just on land, of course. It's extending into our oceans and rivers, too. We have autonomous smart buoys and gliders roaming the ocean, basically giving it a constant health checkup, monitoring temperature, acidity, oxygen levels. We have sensors in rivers that give us real-time alerts on pollution events. There are even projects using IoT trackers and cameras to follow the flow of plastic waste, identifying the key hotspots where cleanup efforts will have the biggest impact. We are getting a clearer picture of our planet's waterways than ever before. So we have the brain in AI and the senses in IoT. This brings us to the final and maybe the most misunderstood piece of our digital trifecta, blockchain. Now, when you hear that word, I know you probably think of cryptocurrencies, but for a moment, I want you to forget all of that. In this context, think of blockchain as the ecosystem's immutable memory, or even its conscience. Its core value isn't speed, it's trust. In a world where environmental claims are, let's face it, often met with skepticism, blockchain gives us a way to create a single, shared, and tamper-proof source of truth. This right here is the fundamental problem the blockchain solves in the world of sustainability, greenwashing. I mean, we've all seen the labels, right? Ethically sourced, deforestation-free, eco-friendly. How often do you just kind of roll your eyes and wonder if it's true? How can anyone actually verify those claims? Well, blockchain provides a mechanism to move us away from these vague corporate promises and toward hard, verifiable proof. Let's walk through this coffee example because it's brilliant. Imagine a specific batch of coffee beans gets a unique digital identity. You can think of it like a digital passport. At every single step of its journey, from the farm to the store, a transaction is recorded on the blockchain. The farmer logs the harvest, the shipper logs the transport, the roaster logs the processing. Each entry is a time-stamped, cryptographically secured block that gets added to a chain that literally cannot be altered or deleted. So what's the end result? You, standing in the grocery store aisle, can scan a QR code on the package with your phone and see the entire verifiable history of your coffee, right back to the specific farm it came from. This creates radical transparency, and it rewards the brands that are genuinely doing the right thing. Blockchain is also playing a huge role in cleaning up the carbon markets. A massive problem in this space has been something called double spending. It's basically selling the same promise twice. One carbon credit gets sold to multiple buyers, which completely undermines the market's integrity. With blockchain, a verified carbon credit becomes a unique digital token. When a company uses that credit to offset its emissions, a public transaction effectively retires or burns that token. It's like digitally shredding a one-time use coupon. And because it's on a public, immutable ledger, everyone can see that it's gone, and that specific credit can never, ever be sold or used again. And this exact same principle, this verifiable digital history, can be a powerful weapon against major environmental crimes. Take illegal logging. A legally harvested log gets a digital identity right at the source, maybe with a tamper-proof IoT tag. Any timber that shows up at a port without that unbroken blockchain history is immediately flagged as suspicious. It makes it nearly impossible to launder illegal timber into the legitimate supply chain. You can apply a similar bait-to-plate model to fishing, where vessels log their catch with GPS data, proving it wasn't caught in a protected marine area. Okay, so let's zoom out and connect all the dots. Because the true power here isn't in any single one of these technologies. It's in the synergy. It's in how intelligence, the senses, and trust all interconnect to forge a single, powerful digital ecosystem.
Let's just revisit our core metaphors one last time. AI is the analytical brain, the part that makes sense of all the complexity and predicts what might happen next. IoT is the sensory nervous system, gathering all the real-time data that feeds that brain. And blockchain is the immutable memory, the conscience, ensuring that the data is trusted and that everyone is held accountable. They aren't just separate tools in a box, they are interlocking parts of a single incredible machine for planetary management.
Ultimately, this is the key takeaway for today. For so long, our efforts to build a sustainable world have been held back by a lack of timely, trusted information. This digital trifecta of AI, IoT, and blockchain gives us a revolutionary new way to use data as a tool. From the farmer growing more food with less water to the consumer verifying the journey of their coffee, this ecosystem is already here and it's already making a difference. And that leaves us with the critical question for the future. We are building an incredibly powerful toolkit. The challenge ahead isn't just a technical one, it's an ethical one. How do we make sure this power is used wisely, that it's used equitably, and that it benefits all people and the planet we all share? That's the conversation we need to be having next. So, to quickly recap, we've seen how the convergence of AI as a predictive brain, IoT as a planetary nervous system, and blockchain as a ledger of trust is creating a revolutionary digital ecosystem, transforming our ability to understand and manage our world. Be sure to tune in for our next deep dive where we'll be tackling the green dilemma: cost, ethics, and equity. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this, please subscribe, like, and share, and don't forget to hit the bell for more from Tech AI and beyond.